Good evening. You join me on a cold Monday night in the garage. You're not going to see that way or that way like you would do normally, simply because everything's a mess. I have a bit of a confession to make, which is why we're sat in the garage, and that is because I've been a bit stupid. Now then, I'm currently recording this on my new camera, my new shiny DSLR camera, all singing, all dancing, bells and whistles and everything else, and I'm still trying to learn how to use it, which you'll see later on with some dodgy film work. However, when I first bought it, I did the typical bloke thing, and I got my memory card and I plugged it into my camera and I pressed format. It already had about 2 weeks worth of footage on there. So, needless to say, when I realised what I'd done, I wasn't best pleased. So here's a bit of a recap as to what's happened up until now, because we're now in, what is it, the 9th of December as I'm recording this. Yeah, remember the 9th of December. I don't know why. So it started off a few weeks ago, and I was up at Moreton Fisheries near Sandbach for a Royal Signals match. 48 hours chasing carp. And it transpired that the venue itself had been full of floodwater and flooded up until a couple of days before. It was touch and go as to whether it was even going to take place. So when we got up there, it was cold water, very coloured. It wasn't the best, certainly wasn't the one, and everybody struggled, let's be honest. It was won by Dan having a 24-pound fish, then Chris came second with a 17-pounder, and Dave came third with a 16-pounder. The only other carp to be caught was me. I had a 3.5-pound common carp. Had barbules. I'm classing it as a common carp, even though it may have been very F1-y. I fished maggots. Everybody else didn't. And maggots really were not the one. To such an extent that if you are going to Moreton Fisheries up near Sandbach, do not take maggots. It's full of bream and skimmers and roach, and they love a maggot. Let's just put it like that. So after that match, it was Dave and I went off onto his syndicate lake. I got an invite on there. We've gone on to one of the lakes which hasn't been fished very much in the past. It was a sort of like a little bit of a test fish invite that we got, that I'd got. So we've gone on there, and although we've seen signs of fish and we've managed to ping features and fish on the deeper, about 18 hours fishing on that first lake, we didn't get a single bite, a single pickup. We moved on to one of the main Specimen lakes for a few hours, chucked a couple of rods at showing fish and had one liner. It had been flooded again up until a couple of days before, when it had been over the banks. You could see where the floodwater had been up to on the otter fences. So it really wasn't the one. The water was like hot chocolate coloured, where it's usually crystal clear. So we decided to call a stop on that one a bit early. So we came back, I went to work for a couple of days, and then at the weekend I went fishing on the Hampshire Avon. I was fishing maggot feeders on a new stretch to me, and I managed this. Good morning, you joined me back down on the Hampshire Avon. I've been here for the grand sum of about half an hour. This is my first fish. I'll show you what I'm doing in a bit if you're lucky. Other than that, see you in a minute. Right, so after that one fish, I moved around a few other spots and not a lot happened. It's a lovely stretch. I will be back there very soon. Then that took me up to Wednesday last week. I ended up fishing a match at Todber. It was an Army Group 2 match at Todber. I was in work up until about 9 o'clock in the morning, so I got my mate Craig to draw for me. He pulled me out peg 47, I think it was, on home ground. No, on Hillview, which is a flyer. There was lots of fish in front of me. I fished a waggler all day, 13-foot waggler rod, predominantly stayed on the waggler, chucked the tip a couple of times, had a lovely day catching carp and skimmers, and ended up weighing about 80 pound for 4th in the match, 2nd in section. After that, I decided to go specimen roach fishing this weekend just gone. So I went off down to a lake not too far from here, and to say I had a good night is an understatement. I got there mid-afternoon to an empty lake, and I've managed, on dusk I've had a bite that I've dropped which felt like a big fish. I've then had another fish that that I left in the landing net whilst I had another bite on my first rod again, which I dropped again because it ran into some lilies. I weighed that first fish and it was £2.6, which is the biggest roach I've had in years. Okay, quick update for you. Here you go, £2.6 ounce roach. Thank you very much. I've then gone on to have a £1.5, a £2 dead, another £1.5, a £2.4, a couple of little bits, and then at 4 in the morning I had a £2.7. So in the space of the night I had 4 £2 roach. The downside of the venue was the fact that I was sat right next to a main road, and the rats were very friendly. They were running into my bivvy and everything. I got about an hour's sleep, so as soon as the sun came up I was off. And that brings us to now, basically, when I'm sat in the garage in the cold trying to update you to where I was. So there you go. That's my update. This week I should be off onto the river with a new toy. Just don't tell the boss. And then the weekend I am going to be back chasing roach again on Friday night, and then Saturday morning it's going to be chub, which is what it's going to be on Wednesday. And yeah, this winter is going to be chasing a few specimen fish. I'm after a £3 roach now, and hopefully a £6 chub. We'll just have to see how I get on. Right, good afternoon. Join me on the banks of the Hampshire Avon. I've just had this little beauty. That isn't a pound, I don't know what is. Fishing bread on link ledger at the moment. Well happy with that. Okay, so it's Wednesday afternoon, and like I said, I'm down on the Hampshire Avon again. I'm on a little stretch on the Salisbury district ticket, which is very rarely fished apparently because a lot of people can't be bothered to walk down here. I've got the confluence with the Nadder just downstream of me there. Got a little stretch of the Nadder just over there. And I'm just sat on the last little bit of the Avon here. And yeah, I've had hooked two fish, lost one, landed one. It was that nice roach. Fishing bread at the moment, and I've got some cheese paste with me for when it starts getting a bit darker. And we'll see if we can't mug a chub out as well. Okay, dodgy filming time. That is chub number 2, probably just over 3. Happy days. Right, good afternoon. You join me back down on what I'm going to start calling the big roach pond. As you can hear, traffic's starting to build. It's 10 to 3 in the afternoon. It's been getting quite loud. It'll be like this now for the next few hours. And as you may be able to spot out in the pond, there's a flock of tufties which keep on annoying me as well because they keep on diving on my bait. Same as last week, except I'm a little bit further out. I've given it about a kilo of ground bait with some dead maggots and some hemp in it, and I've got the 2 maggot feeders over the top, and we'll see what this brings out. Hopefully it'll be as good as last week, but in all honesty I very much doubt it because it's quite a bit clearer and I can't see it being anywhere near as good as last week. Alright, let's try and get rid of these birds again. I shall give you an update when something good happens. Right, good morning. I left you last night. I was on the roach pond. Absolutely nothing happened last night, apart from the fact that I got tuftied, I think it was. The plan was always to come, so I blanked basically. The plan was always to come on here and try some perching. I've had a little bit of a roam around after an hour's worth of fishing. The conditions are pants. I'm sure this fish here is just a case of finding them on the right day when they're hungry at the right time, and I'm not managing that at the moment. So this is going to be short and sweet. Weather is definitely picking up, so I can't see me spending much longer here, to be fair. So I'm about to batten down the hatches and run away. I will see you sometime somewhere else. Ciao for now. Well, as you can see, this mist has come in, so I'm out. See you later. Right, good morning. It's Saturday morning. You join me out fishing for the first time in 2 weeks. This is the Hampshire Avon. There's a big tree there. This is in the middle reaches of the Avon, and unfortunately I think I've come down here on the wrong day. I've only brought my light chubbing gear, and it's a bit of a raging torrent, but when needs must I had to get out. In hindsight I should have brought a carp rod, to be fair. So I am off to another stretch. I think I'm just going to give it a quick go. Up there, that area there to the front, out there is all over the grass. The actual riverbank runs up there. All of this stuff to the left is all grass, and I've seen a small trout or something on it, so I'm going to give that a go for half an hour. Then I'm going to move, and fingers crossed to get a fish. Right, hopefully I'll show you something. Failing that, I'll speak to you in a bit. There we go. This might be my last fish of 2019. If so, can't complain. Nearly £3 chub taken in 1.5 foot of water. What's normally a footpath. Okay, so this is the rig I've been using again. I had that fish on a size 12 hook, but I've just gone up to a size 6 hook on 6-pine mainline, which is on a link ledger. I do this the Martin Bowler way by using a couple of float stops just to hold a bit of 10-pound fluorocarbon. I've got 2 swan shot on there at the moment, and I'm going to be fishing meat, cheese paste and bread. I had that first one on bread, but I'm going to be having a bit of fun and chopping and changing baits in a minute. Right, so that's it really. That's my last proper indication, was that chub about an hour and a half ago. But it's been a lovely day. I've actually managed to get out for the first time in over a week, in 2 weeks in fact, because my car broke down, which is always for winners. I'm still waiting on that to get fixed. Top tip, don't break down over Christmas. Right, that's me basically. I will see you in the new year. I've got a new year, a new plan. I'm going to be out chasing some big fish, but more of that in Avoiding the Blank 20 Part 1. From me, however, I hope you all have a very good new year. And don't forget, if you like what you see, like it. And if you want to see more of it, subscribe. There you go, that's my YouTube gumph done. Right, I will see you in 2020. Ciao for now.
Hi, my name's Ben and I like drinking tea. I love my wife.